That's right, 120 million views right here at Third Phase of Moon. The word is getting out. People are watching, listening, sharing their videos, their information, their stories in regards to alien abductions, military cover-ups, possible alien technology, reverse engineered. Third Phase of Moon is the place to report it. Again, the number to call in is 347-934-0378. We're not alone, people. Call in. Now let's get to our first caller. Calling in, area code 360. You there?
I'm here.
Welcome
to
Third Phase. Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
Happy holidays. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Can you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Morgan, and I'm calling from Montana.
Morgan, hey, thanks for joining the show. You got something you want to share with the people?
Well, I've had a few encounters over my life. First off, I should say that I'm a biologist, so I come at this a little bit of a different direction. But I had my first, I guess, sighting when I was 8 years old, and then I'm a Navy child, so I've moved all over, and I had several encounters. And I think maybe at least my sister had a face-to-face encounter when we were living in Hawaii, and then I've also had a sighting over Yellowstone National Park.
Wow, let's jump back just a bit. You just said Hawaii, or the state that we live in. Could you tell us exactly where and what location this happened?
Mm-hmm. Do you know where AMR is, or Salt Lake on Oahu?
Absolutely.
So we've had quite a bit of stuff happen over that. It's a military housing complex that back in World War II housed the oil for the ships. And because of that, we got to live there. We lived in a very old, I'm pretty sure, World War II era housing. And it was a very frightening house. I don't know why. It just felt frightening. And so it wasn't until probably 2 or 3 years ago that my sister and I started talking about, how the hallway scared us. Because it was it felt like a mile long, but it ended in paneled doors that you could see outside. And whenever we walked down that hallway, you felt like you were being watched. And a few weeks later, my sister came back to me and she said, I would lay in our parents' bedroom because I was so scared that the gray people would come and get me. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? And she proceeded to tell me that she would lay in her parents' bedroom and watch gray people feet walk up and down the hallway, and that sometimes she would sit up in the living room at night and watch orbs fly around her. So that got me thinking about what may have or may not have happened to my brothers, but they didn't report anything to me.
Wow, Hawaii is a special spiritual place, and there are a lot of Hawaiian legends here in Hawaii in regards to spirits and ghosts and possible extraterrestrial beings. My brother and I have had experiences ourselves on the island of Oahu at young ages. Go on.
Yeah. We also saw, again, in AMR, but in a different house this time. My brother and I it's nighttime, and so it's always fun to play on trampolines at night. And we just got done, wrestling around, playing. We were laying on the ground, or we were laying on the trampoline, and we're watching the stars, and an explosion happens above us. But not like you can see anything, or it's not even you can feel anything, but it was just a weird kind of explosion. We thought that, actually our dad told us at the time that it was just probably something that had crashed into a satellite, or a satellite had fallen to Earth. But now that I kind of think back of it, it was triangular in shape. So the explosion kind of went out in the triangle shape.
Yeah, how big would you say it was? We had an encounter as well on the Big Island of a triangular shape. People call it a TR-3B reverse engineered alien technology type of aircraft. And we put it in the realm of approximately 300 yards in length and width. How big do you think this object was?
I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. It felt like it was really big, but it also felt like it was really high in the sky. Like, it just for distance-wise, it felt like it was really up there because, on Oahu, it's not super easy to see some of the lights or the stars when it's nighttime, especially when you're near Honolulu, but you can still see some stars. So we thought that it had to either be really big and far away or really close.
Yeah, when we had our experience, it seemed like we're here on the Big Island, and it was in a remote area with no neighbors around, approximately 1 mile to 2 miles around, no street lights, and pitch dark. And it looked like it was just about to descend on us, no more than 100 yards above us. And
oh, wow.
There's multiple people that witnessed this at the same time, and that was the most incredible part. But it's amazing the euphoric feeling you have when you witness something like this. You explained earlier that you're a biologist and you were going to go in an angle and you wanted to go in tonight. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I've researched a lot. I'm huge in research. I don't really believe anything until I've looked down and back and forth and cross-examined it. And everything I've read so far leads me to believe that, one, there are multiple grays, there are multiple reptoids, there are multiple insectoids, and whatever other alien species are out there. Two, that each one of them have their own agenda for us. And I feel most, and maybe not all, and this is really more subject to debate, but I feel that a lot of it is kind of like what I guess marine biologists do, where we'll pick up, say, a shark and tag it with something and then release it. And I've always thought that how traumatic would that be to the shark suddenly being handled by these extraordinarily weird creatures, and then, transfer that on to, okay, now we're dealing with something that's way more advanced than us. May look similar, may not look similar, and they're doing these experiments on us that we don't understand, and yet probably for them they think it's more scientific.
Interesting, yes. Well, there are... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's kind of in something I've been throwing around in the back of my mind because, I mean, if we were to go out into the stars and see a new species, that's exactly what we would do. We would start collecting samples, and we would be tagging things, and we would try to follow their life processes as they go through it.
So your
At the tone,
theory is...
please record your message. When you have finished recording, you...
Oh, sorry about that. Some mixed up call there. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm still here.
Tell us more about this these barracks that you lived on over there on the military base and this hallway that seemed to stretch on for like miles. What was that all about?
Well, see, what got it started talking about that was because I had a nightmare involving that hallway. It was the dining room, and then the kitchen, and then the foyer, and then all 5 of our bedrooms and the bathroom attached to this really long hallway. And like I said, at the end was a door that opened up to the outside. And it's hard to explain. Have you ever been kind of like walking somewhere and you're hesitant to walk down something, but you know you have to? That's how it felt every day going down this hallway. And so when I was working at Big Sky, Montana, I was actively trying to seek UFOs, as I still am, and I had probably a really horrific nightmare for me where I was back in that hallway, and I just remember creatures coming from the door and me just screaming and pounding on the floor saying, I don't want to go anymore, I don't want to go, and I woke up. And that's what made me talk to my sister and my brothers about it.
I remember our parents every night made us have to take out the garbage, and it would be, approximately 50 yards of a little bit of a walk to place it up there, and it'd be dark, and it'd be kind of creepy, and there'd be some traumatic moments at times,
right.
Just having to deal with it. That kind of stuff plays with you, but I still think there might have been some kind of sense, something's watching. There's spirits all around here in Hawaii. It's quite interesting. And do you think that there's a possibility that with these alien gray encounters, you said your sister was seeing them?
Yeah. She doesn't talk about it much. She is very different now than she was as a child. She was very quiet and very particular about the people that she liked. And if she didn't like you, she wouldn't talk to you. But I've caught her when I remember, catching her awake at night and just seeing her sitting out by herself in our living room, which was rather a large living room for a 4-year-old to be sitting out there by themselves, it was kind of odd. And so I remember, often taking her back to my room or tucking her back into bed, and it literally was within the last few weeks, the last few years that I got her to open up about what some of the things that she'd seen. Because I'm always curious. I'm curious about everything. That's why I became a biologist. And it didn't make sense until I actually had that dream and I kind of started remembering what was going on in that house.
Yeah, some people say that the legend of the night marchers, there are homes that are built along a path or a trail, and sometimes this home is built right on top of the Hawaiian night marcher trail, these ancient Hawaiian spirits that walk these trails. And once a house is built on top of it, they don't recognize the house. They just continuously keep walking through these homes, and there's a lot of these sightings throughout the state of Hawaii. I'm going to be taking some other callers right now. Everybody, the number to call in is 347-934-0378. Share your stories with Third Phase Moon, sharing it with the world. Any last words?
No, just keep up the good work. I look forward to seeing more of your guys' videos.
Absolutely. You stick around. You never know what's going to happen, and we might just get back to you. Let's get to the next caller, and we do appreciate everybody that submits their videos to Third Phase of Moon. Again, 200,000 subscribers, 120 million views. The word's getting out. Let's get to the next caller. Area code 831. You're live, Third Phase of Moon. Tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Blake, this is Andrew, and I'm in Santa Cruz.
Hey, Sander, how's it going?
Good.
How's the surf out there? Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, there's been some good surf. We got the big stuff coming in.
Right on. Mavericks, yes. Famous surf spot. We actually lost a legend right here from Hawaii. Mark Fu lost his life over there at Mavericks. Dangerous surf spot.
Seriously.
Hey, man, tell us why you're calling in.
I just wanted to mention, I listened to your show. I've spoken once to you, I think, and I just wanted to say, that since I was a little kid, my dad told me that he had seen some objects, and he was a pilot, and I was pretty young when he told me that. And so since then, I've been kind of, my awareness has been to the sky. I'm interested in meteorology and, all kinds of sciences and stuff. And I just think there's stuff going on. If, some of the sightings that I've had, the people I was with forgot about them. And I couldn't even believe that. But, it's hard to find people that...
Do you think they want to forget about them?
Maybe,
do you think sometimes they just want to forget about them?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's part of it anyway, that, they can't rationalize what they don't understand, probably. But,
yeah, there are people out there that'll see a UFO and just dismiss it. They can't explain it, and then they care less. They move on with their business and could care less with what's up in the sky right in front of their faces.
Exactly, and in fact, they'll even occasionally take a stand, to say, hey, look, you should take other things more seriously because that's kind of, waste of time or whatever. And I don't agree. Since I'm interested in meteorology and been a pilot in my past, I didn't, not much, but I'm just I've been watching the sky a lot, and while I don't have the extraordinary sightings and experiences that I hear some people having, I've had some great sightings, and I just keep my eye to the sky, like you say.
Hey, Skander, could you tell us about one of your encounters?
Yeah, definitely. This was when I was going to school down in Santa Barbara, and I was living up on East Mountain Drive, and that looks out over the Channel Islands, and Ventura's, to the south, and the college, the university in Goleta is up to the north. And I mean, it just had a great view of the sky, And I lived in this place called the Castle, and it was just a phenomenal place. But anyway, yeah, I was out on the checking out the sky, with my girlfriend actually, and we just saw a light that would go real fast, stop on a mark, and go back the way from where it came from, and it just kept going doing that same horizontal thing back and forth, and it was out kind of by the island, one of the islands. I think it might have been Santa Cruz Island or something, but I'd have to look at a map for sure. But it did that for, like, believe it or not, an hour and a half, and it was changing colors, really bright, intense. And we were having Santa Ana winds, so it was pretty warm up there, and it was like just, when is this thing going to stop? What's it doing, kind of thing, And so I just watched the whole thing. She went inside, and she's one of the people that forgot about this. But yeah, I watched it till it finally just, went straight up and just. What?
Or wanted to forget about it.
Yeah, right. Seriously. So yeah, I just, that was the first sighting that I kind of thought that I had, but then I remembered other sightings that I had that I thought were other things, before that. And but anyway, that was really neat because the light was just, really unusual, and it was pretty much going, it was pretty far away, so that I didn't hear anything, that's not necessarily an issue, but it was totally clear night, and I just saw it kind of, do what I haven't ever seen any other aircraft do before, I mean, I was thinking maybe helicopter, not really. I mean, helicopter can't fly like that, So anyway, it was pretty spectacular. It went south and disappeared to the south, I don't know what it was doing, but, and since I've heard that there's something maybe offshore in Southern California that, you've checked that out, right? I think I saw that on your site too, underneath.
Over there in Malibu?
The wall. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the underground brace off Malibu, absolutely.
Yeah.
Something's going on over there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but so there have been some pretty interesting sightings down there, and including
even
Santa Cruz.
I know we have a few on archive on Third Phase of Moon that people from Santa Cruz have been submitted a stunning video just off the coast there.
I saw one recently. Was that the one that it was a daytime sighting, and it was kind of going left to right, an object of some sort?
Yeah, I think so. We have thousands of videos up on Third Phase. It's hard for me to ponder every single one of them, but all I know is we have a lot in the archive. I think we probably have maybe 3 or 4 from Santa Cruz over the years. So, and I think possibly I'm going to go through the archive and play it on this radio show when we post it up on YouTube and see if we could track that one down. Have you ever captured any on film yourself?
I've kind of thought about getting into it, but it takes it into a different realm, when you start thinking about it like that. It's hard to explain, but, I just, I did get an infrared, like a monocular, and I got a recording device that didn't last very long. It was from China. It just didn't, hold up to the forces that be. But I'm open to trying it. But I don't seem to be one of the ones that's just getting these wild things that other people can get. And I've been looking pretty hard, and I've seen what are definitely UFOs. I mean, don't get me wrong, but
sometimes it's definitely sometimes a trick to properly capture one on camera, viewing them in the night sky with your own eyes and seeing it for yourself. You know what you're looking at, but to capture it on your Samsung Galaxy phone in the middle of the night, now that's something else. Hey, man, I want you to stick around. We're going to keep up the open subject about, what we're just talking about tonight. Are people, basically when somebody sees a UFO and they just can't understand what they're looking at, in some cases people just say, I don't care what that is, and then they'll just go about their business. And then there are other people that'll take this and question what they're looking at and want to know more. And that's a person like me. I just want to know more. What are these things in the skies? What is the phenomenon? Why are there sightings not just on video cameras, still photos, but on military radar, government officials, astronauts? The gamut's out there. Something's going on, and I just want to find out. That's one thing I think the Third Phase of Moon team, again, 200,000 subscribers, reached this limit, and 120 million views. Everybody, we got to say thanks to everybody that's participated in this incredible phenomenon known as Third Phase of Moon. We didn't know Third Phase of Moon would be the world's largest UFO channel. We didn't even name Third Phase of Moon in relation to UFOs, but it just so happens to be that way, and that's what it is. By the way, Third Phase of Moon means basically the Huakaipo, a Hawaiian legend known as the Night Marchers, and on the third phase of Moon is when the Night Marchers make themselves visible, if you're unlucky enough to be on the trails. Anyway, let's get to the next caller. Calling in, 510. You're live, Third Phase of Moon. Tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Blake. This is Terrence calling from Berkeley, California. It's interesting what you guys are talking about tonight. I've never actually seen a UFO myself. I do believe that they're out there, and I'm always looking, trying to, I expect to see one. And that's why that's why I became a subscriber to your site, quite frankly, just because I'm looking for information relating to what I expect to be true, just from the sheer numbers out there. Looking at the stars, how many planets are out there. So it wouldn't surprise me one of these days to see some conclusive evidence. But the reason I'm calling in is because when I was on vacation in Hawaii about 3-4 months ago, I during a hiking adventure encountered something that was just phenomenally strange. It was at the base of a waterfall, we saw bubbling of kind of like a maybe volcanic bubbling, but there were creatures, there was activity, and it was like a prehistoric situation that we encountered. And I just wanted to put it out there to see if anybody had ever seen any of this phenomenon over there, and to maybe explain what it might have been.
You're just bringing back a memory to me, and I want to get some more detailed information on when, where, and exactly the circumstance behind your encounter. But I recall a couple of years ago there was some word in town, right here in our small town, Honoka'a, that there was some biologists, and they were doing a study, and their study was apparently that there was some kind of possible prehistoric animal that lived right here on the Big Island of Hawaii. And we wanted to find out more and more about this. And there's some places right here on the Big Island that have still yet to be explored, massive gulches and deep ponds and subterranean caves that are just pretty much impossible to access, 500-foot, 1,000-foot cliffs that, these things could hide in, caves everywhere. It possibly could have been one of these things. I know just recently, Akaka Falls we just put up a video of some kind of spiritual, some people say a spiritual kind of being maybe entering the light. And you said a waterfalls?
Yeah, it was actually in the adjacent to Akaka Falls. It was one of those streams behind Akaka Falls, up there from Hakalau, the town neighboring Akaka Falls. We took a road up there to the end of that town and did some creative accessing and went through some properties and got to the back side of Akaka Falls, and somewhere there's a couple of streams that all come together and it splits, and somewhere behind the waterfall back there as we were hiking around, we found this one waterfall that had like a cave feature on the side of it, and then at the bottom of it, it had some pools, but on one side of the river, it was all red, and it had the strangest orangish reddish color, kind of mineral, and something, I don't know, a mineral deposit or something. But as we got closer to it, we could see that it was percolating and bubbling up from the ground, and there were these tiny microscopic creatures, the strangest little chain-like creatures, looking like little chain worms, millions of little tiny chain worm-like things, all scurrying around in the pools at the bottom of this waterfall. And I'm just wondering what the heck that was.
Were you gonna swim in the pond or the waterfalls?
No, that part of the I didn't want to get in the water at that point, because it was the strangest thing, some microbiotic activities, or I really just didn't know. I'm not a geologist. I'm not a biologist. I didn't know what I was seeing. I knew it was really strange, like some kind of life form existing in a volcanic environment or something like that.
Believe it or not, we have a biologist that called in earlier on the show, and she's still with us. She's from Montana, but she's lived on the islands, and I have as well. And what you're explaining to me does not resemble any kind of life form I've ever seen. And trust me, I've been around these islands. Have you ever seen anything like this, Area Code 360?
Actually, I was just going to look it up. At first, what sounded like he was talking about extremophiles, which is what we have here at Yellowstone. But you were saying they're in a chain-like structure?
Long little chains, like series of loops all strung together or something like that. Like a millipede, but instead of legs on every little section, it was more like a bubbly loop thing.
Could you be? I wonder if you're thinking about like a hatching.
He also said that it was in water itself, right? Like it was floating in the water.
Yeah, in a liquidy, muddy water.
I was thinking that maybe you saw a hatching of centipedes.
Ah.
Right, because we have lots of centipedes in Hawaii.
And would that be really small, like?
Yeah, when they just hatch, they're really small.
Were these? I know the small bundles of centipedes that they're a nest, and they almost resemble like a hive or just a wound up ball of yarn almost, and then they spread out into all these small little centipedes, no more than maybe 2 inches long. Were these worms longer than that?
These things were much smaller than that. These things were only.
Do you have a computer at hand?
Millimeter.
And if you can look it up, I'm looking at some pictures right now, and they're definitely tiny looking.
Well, interesting.
Yeah, that's a plausible possibility.
It always is.
That there was some kind of like bubbling going on at the same time.
Yeah, it was a muddy. It was like there was a percolating coming out of the rock, and around that area was a totally discolored. The rocks were a totally different color, like an orange, brown, bright, strange color. I was wondering, could it be geological stuff bubbling out from the heat, or could it be something living, micro algae or something like that? Who knows? But it was sure peculiar, and it was different than the other areas around the river.
Do you remember if there was a smell?
There was. It had a stinky, muddy smell.
It might have been a sulfur pit. You might have just stumbled upon a hot spring.
Ah, right.
Which would be awesome. You can take me back to that location when I come to Hawaii.
Well, let's get your name again, the biologist. I want to have you on the Third Phase of Moon team, just in case we need to get more questions into in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I would be open for that.
I got your number, and let me just get your first name.
Morgan, Morgan.
All right, Morgan. Cool. Well, let's get back to the theory about, when people see a UFO for the first time, and then the idea of, whether they want to believe it or not, and then have the idea, if they don't understand what they're seeing, whether they want to accept it or not. That's kind of the question tonight. Let me get to another caller right now. Area code 804 calling in to Third Phase Moon Live. The number to call in again is 347-934-0378. Let's get to area code 804. Tell us your name. Where are you calling from? (804), you're live, Third Phase of Moon.
You can talk to me, huh?
You're here, 952, you're live. You know the topic. What's your thoughts about, you've been sharing pictures to Third Phase of Moon for about a year and a half, 2 years now, Elizabeth. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Blake.
You have a little bit of echo. Let's see if we can fix it.
I have a little bit of background feed here.
Let me ask you, what's your thought when you share some of your pictures and whether they want to believe or not? And then just basically some people don't want to have anything to do with it, even if they've witnessed it themselves.
Like my family. They don't want anything to do with it. They believe. What do people think?
So
a lot of people believe.
Right.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Right. Your family believes that there's extraterrestrials visiting you, but they don't care about it.
No, they don't care.
It doesn't make much sense.
They don't care. Well, my husband would rather stick his head in the sand and not even look at the pictures. He doesn't want to see them. I have a daughter that's been taken. She cares. The other two think I'm just, I don't know, crazy, I think. But, I do care what people think about my pictures, because it is a personal thing to me, I've been in contact for so many years that, it's just, it's hard to explain. I care, I care about what people think. It's hard to hear criticism. You got to learn to let it go. But I think people that do see things like in my neighborhood, I've sat with a police officer who lives down the street who has seen them with me. He doesn't care. Some people just don't care. Like, oh, well, like, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, that's right. What some people say, what are we going to do about it? Then there's nothing I can do. And that's the wrong way of thinking. There is something that people can do. And we're doing it right now. The phenomenon is happening. And you're not the only one that gets criticized. Hey, look, we got, like I said, again, 120 million views, 200,000 subscribers. The word's out. I think we're the most criticized YouTube channel in YouTube, period. But
you are.
But I think we are, but that doesn't stop the people submitting their videos. And the phenomenon is working. 120. There's other people that want to come out and think they're the new YouTube channel, and they come and go, and they don't last, and then whatever. Don't hate us, love yourself, people. Basically, that's the attitude I think everybody should have. The line
people
is
just are afraid, I think, to come forward.
That's right. The more people come forward, the more people that participate, the more awareness happens. Elizabeth, what do you want to say to the Third Phase of Moon viewers?
I think that people should just open their eyes and have a reality check and look up in the skies and quit looking at their cell phones or their computers or their televisions and get out and look up, and you might see something, I think that people need to open their hearts and stop criticizing others.
I think that's the first case is like once somebody wants to submit a video or a photograph. Just a couple days ago, we released a photograph from a lady that submitted it on her way back from Utah, a photograph that she took 4 years ago, and a grandson called on her behalf, submitted the photo, and then we later got to talk to the grandmother herself on the show, and her story's legitimate. People say it's a painting. People say it's fake. They don't even want to. They don't even want to believe. And whether or not
those are trolls.
Whether or not it is what it is on the photograph, it's a photograph. It's a real photograph, people. It's not fake. Okay. Let's get to another caller right now. 619. We got a few minutes left right here at Third Phase Moon, a little overtime, and then we got an area code 404 that we're going to get to real quick. 619, welcome to Third Phase.
Hey, Blake, how you doing? It's Kelly again from San Diego.
Kelly, hey, we're going over the subject matter of whether people believe when they see a UFO and they can't understand it, they're going to go one way or the other and don't want to have anything to do with it. I know you've had the same experience of people that you've been around. What's your thoughts on that? And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, man.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you too, Blake, and your brother. I've been just listening in the background before I just called in, but there's a lot of people that, I don't know if they're just scared or, they just don't know, they just can't put their, wrap their mind around it if they see the first time they ever see something like that. And, because maybe they're, religious or something, and, it goes beyond their belief of what they, that they believe or been taught to their whole lives, you know what I mean? And if, if they ever laid their eyes on something like that, that is just mind-boggling to them, and maybe they just don't want to deal with it, or they just don't want to think about it. And that picture that you've seen, I was actually pretty excited about seeing that as well, because I'm from Utah. I'm in the Navy now, and that was pretty crazy. It looked like it was southern Utah. I have some family members that live down through that way, and I thought I was hoping it was like something newer, but from what I listened to, that guy, the first interview with the nephew or grandson, he was saying it was like 3-4 years ago. Now that was a pretty interesting picture that was there. When I used to live there in Utah, this is one thing that got me into it, is I've seen actually a few things when I was living out there in Utah. I was more north from St. George. I'm like more up towards Ogden area. But I had actually seen a few things myself. I mean, the first one I did see was like, me and my friend was on our front porch, and we was looking up, I would say north from where my porch was at. And we seen like a meteor coming through, the atmosphere, like, falling star, everybody calls it, but it stopped. Like, it got down, I would say, it looked like maybe 15,000 feet, and it just stopped. And it just started moving in another direction. It started heading west, or actually east over the mountains, the mountain range over there in Wasatch Mountains. And I was pretty excited. Well, I had my friend with me, and I was like, man, let's go up there, because, I probably lived just about 10 minutes from the canyon that it was in the direction it went, but he didn't want to go. He was like, no, fire in the sky, fire in the sky. But then I actually seen another one with my son when he was a little bit younger. We were walking out of the mall that was right there in downtown, and I just happened to look up when I was going to my parking where my car was parked at, and I looked up, and it was it would say it was oval shaped. It was but it looked like it was changing shape while it was moving. This thing was probably like, and it was kind of actually pretty low. It looked like maybe less than 10,000 to 5,000 feet, and it was moving westward towards the Great Salt Lake. And from what I was in a state of shock at first. I just kind of looked at it, but it was going in the direction where I could follow it for a few miles. So I hurried and grabbed my son, threw him in the car, and we chased it in my vehicle for, I don't know, probably approximately 8-10 miles before I couldn't, we ran into the water, and I couldn't follow it anymore. But it was quiet. It didn't make any noise. it was silvery in color. I mean, there was no structural shape of it. It was just kind of like, it was weird. The way it was pulsating, it was kind of like went a little bit rounder up on top and bottom, and then it, went into a saucer shape, I guess you could say, at the angle I was looking at. And I mean, it wasn't really moving fast. It was just like, I don't know, it was like wanted me to follow it. So that's what I did, and then it just disappeared out of sight. Another one was like heading out. It was more Salt Lake area, and you could head out east to where it's called Wendover. It's like a little casino place out there, and out that way is Dugway, the Dugway Proving Grounds, where a lot of people say the new Area 51's at. And, there's a lot of bombing range out there for the Air Force. And me and my friends were heading out that way to go, spend the weekend out there. And when we were out there off to the, I would say, going north, there's a lot of salt flats that way. And what it looked like was I don't know, to explain it, it looks like I would say like an upside down teardrop, but the distance was probably, I would say, a few thousand yards, and it just stayed out there, And at first I thought it was like, because we have a lot of power lines that follow the road, and those, I don't know if you've seen like those big balls that like they connect, along the power line, so it keeps them from swaying and stuff. That's what I thought it was at first, but when I looked at it, it was more silvery, and I don't know, the shape of it was weird. It was round, but at the top it had like a spike on it, and we all stopped. I had my friends in the vehicle. We jumped out, and we stood there and looked at it for about 15 minutes, and then it was like just moving away in the distance, and then finally it was gone.
Well, it's quite interesting. You mentioned these sightings that you've had in Utah, and just this photograph that was submitted this past couple of days is that my brother and I spent 4 months in Utah, the year '92, and we had some incredible sightings ourselves, and we're going to be sharing that next week, Friday, of our experience over there in Utah, just off the main street of Sandy, one of them, and then another one over there in Salt Lake, and then Brent had an encounter over in Ogden, and it looked like it jumped from Provo to Ogden in basically about 2 seconds. So anyway, that's the show, Third Phase of Moon. I want to get everybody in, just say some last quick statement. So let's start with you, Kelly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, let the viewers know out there, and just like everybody else says, look up, and if you do encounter some stuff like that, don't be afraid to share it. There's plenty of people out there. All you have to do is, maybe bump into people or even listen to radio stations like Blake here with Third Phase of Moon. I was hoping my friend would be listening, like I told you about her story, and I'd like her to have her call in one of these times and give her her story. But other than that, everybody take care out there, and happy holidays, and have a happy New Year as well.
Thanks, Kelly. And we're not going anywhere. Everybody, Third Phase of Moon's not going anywhere. So have your friend call in when she feels ready. 360. Any last words, Third Phase?
Yeah, just that more scientists need to actually come forward. The two gentlemen who discovered the DNA helix, one of them actually believes that the Earth was seeded by aliens, specifically more of asteroids and microbiology, but still he believed it and was criticized for it all of his life. But more people should come forward and just say, hey, this is actually happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just stated a pretty much fact that humans are not really designed to live on planet Earth. Our gravity doesn't work. People's backs hurt all the time, or susceptible to sun and skin cancer. It's not normal. Usually if there's evolution and we've been around this long, you would think that we've been more adaptive to this Earth of ours and environment. I think, maybe we're about only 250,000 years old on this planet, and we're still adapting. And maybe one of these days we will be aliens on other planets. I believe that for a fact. Let's get in one last caller real quick. 856, you're live, Third Phase Moon. We've got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Napoleon Johnson. Hello?
Yeah, welcome to the show. We got a few minutes. You got something to report?
Yes. I guess, I've been watching your show for some time, and I've been seeing all these images. I don't think people know what really we're dealing with here. And I had been putting images online for some time that exactly shows is what these objects are. They morph. They have certain.
Sorry, man, you're coming a little broken up. We're just about ending the show, but call in next week. Explain your theory and what you think these objects are. We want to hear it. Send us the email, cousinsbrothersproductions@gmail.com. We'll take a look. Let's go to area code 510 all the way over there in Berkeley. Any last words for the Third Phase of Moon viewers? Go ahead.
I just keep your eyes on the skies. That's all I can say. I'm a believer, even though I have not experienced anything directly. I've seen a few things that I can't explain, that's for sure, and that's certainly gotten my curiosity going. But I'm just anxious to finally arrive at that point where these extraterrestrials expose themselves to us, because I can only imagine that they're, and I